And then if you have your permit, you get a physical thing. Everywhere, we get one in the Netherlands. And this one is valid for how many years?
10.
10 years? And then you have to get it again?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. And in the Netherlands, when you are old enough, like me, you have to go to a medical exam again. And if I wouldn't have passed my medical exam last year, they would have taken my driver's license. So my driver's license actually was valued till my birthday last year. Very much insisting on, now you should have your medical exam. Which includes your eyes, right? And that's a good reason. So this is all part of the service. Okay? Good. I think we just did it, right? Okay, yeah. So, what's the value of having a driver's license? Why should a government bother about having people have a driver's license?
Safety.
Safety? Yeah, safety for whom?
For the user of the car and everybody else in the traffic.
Right. It's very much everybody else, right? As well, yeah. So the driver's license is a value for many different people in a way. And you should be aware that you get a driver's license and your neighbors will be happy that you have been tested before driving the car, right? So the service is not just a value for the person who pays for it, it's a value for everybody who is crossing the street or everybody else in other cars. So you can see now for a driver's license there are many different types of stakeholders. What stakeholders are there? We know that's the driver. That's the other people in the street. Who are other stakeholders? We told the whole story, yes, right? That was the teacher, the driving instructor. He's a stakeholder. People make a living of being a driving instructor. They sell the service of learning, or of teaching to drive. Other stakeholder. The examiner. The examiner, who is officially licensed examiner, he can only give a permit if he has proven that you really are safe to drive. So the examiner is responsible for safety in the world, right? Because if the examiner just would say, oh, you are nice, here's your permit. No, that would be very dangerous. So the examiner should carefully check whether you are able to perform all the different actions. Right? So it's another stakeholder. And actually there's people in sometimes the municipality, at least in the Netherlands, who actually issue the driver's license, they fill in the forms, they get your photograph. There's people who make the official physical card and so on. So there's many different stakeholders here. Right? So getting a driver's license is a complex type of service with many stakeholders and many of them have different values. Like the driving instructor, his value is to have a good business. So he will be happy to show that 70% of his students passes the first time. This advertisement. I'm a good driving instructor. Most people pass the first time, right? So each of them has different values. Okay? And when you are going to design services, this is what you have to find out. Who are all the different stakeholders and what are their values? And I hope this example showed you that it's much more complex than you think.
But I guess the most obvious is the street itself and the quality of the roads and of the car.
Yeah?
That will be probably the most obvious of getting a driver's license. If there's no infrastructure of the traffic, you can't get a driver's license.
Sure, it's clear. And actually in some countries where the traffic infrastructure is, let me say, very primitive, the test to get a driver's license is very quick. I mean, I know of people in other cultures where the driver's license means that people say, drive the car to the end of the road, turn and come back. And if they do that, they get a driver's license. Because that's pretty much all there is on the road. I'm not saying it's healthy. And if you would have such a driver's license from such a country and enter the Netherlands, you are not allowed to drive. You need the European driver's license. So it really depends. The service is related to the context, to the environment. Yeah, you're completely right. And you will find out that in most cases it is. Okay? So, this is another example. A restaurant might actually hire you. So after this course you could be hired because you are now all certified service designers after June, right? When you pass your exam. You are then able to design services. And maybe a restaurant might be interested to hire you to find out a better way to change the menu or to change the layout of the restaurant in order to make the customer feel better. The customer feel this is a good service. So in the end this would mean that the customer might come back to the restaurant or tell her friends or her colleagues to go to the restaurant or take other people to the restaurant. Or even another restaurant might say, I'm going to copy this because this is excellent. My restaurant should be as good as this one. You see? So you can understand service design also could be valuable for a company like a restaurant. If you would focus on this. And as I already told you about for the driver, the customer, it's just one stakeholder. There could be more stakeholders. Let's think about it. What could be other stakeholders for a restaurant that wants to be nice to the customers? What other stakeholders are relevant for a restaurant? Well, the waiters.
Sommelier.
The waiters are relevant, I think, because they are stakeholders. Because the waiters have to work with the menu. And if the layout of the restaurant changes, the waiters might have to walk longer or shorter, or it could be more safe with the trays with all the dishes, or less safe. Right? In Alghero there used to be a kind of a wine bar. Close, let me see, closer that way. There's a wine bar, have you been there? You can eat if you go downstairs. Yeah? Have you been sitting there with the wine bottles in your bag? Sometimes if you move, the bottles could fall. So they could do with a change in the layout. Right? Actually some of your colleagues redesigned that a couple of years ago. But the restaurant didn't take it. Too bad. Okay. Well, they found out that the layout also related to people who, for instance, have wheelchairs. Because in some cases a wheelchair cannot move everywhere. Or cannot go down the stairs in the wine restaurant. You should try it. So, there's many different stakeholders you could identify, and this is one of the things you need to do. So, who are customers? It could mean people outside an organization, like in a restaurant. Customers are people who go to the restaurant to have a dinner. But could also be people in the organization. So, for instance, the restaurant could decide to make the layout better for the waiters, so that the waiters would have a better time running around with the dishes. And they are in the organization of the restaurant, so the service is not just for people from outside. Service could be for people from inside. If you design a service for a hospital, it's not just for the patients, it's also for the doctors and the nurses sometimes. They also could have a better experience because of your design. Okay, well, an example, to say an example. So, in the university, like this one, who are outside customers and what are their services? Students. And what are the services for the students? Libraries, yeah. Courses. Are courses a service? They should be. Exams, certificates. Yeah. What about parents of students? Are they also profiting from the services or not?
No.
You're not so sure, right? In the Netherlands it's different. In the Netherlands, in my university, it has frequently parents come with their young students, their children, they are 18 years old the first time. The parents come with them to find out whether this is the nice university and the right faculty to send their daughters and sons to. So parents definitely have a voice. I remember sometimes a student wants to meet and he brings his parents or her parents. So I have 3 people next to me, or 2. And they are clients. They don't take courses, they don't go to the library, they don't get a certificate. They are at the exams with a bunch of flowers. So at the examination, the parents are there. They are, and you should be nice to them. And we always at the examination we welcome the family. So they are clients of the university. Not in Algerije, maybe, not so much. No. In Amsterdam, yes. If we have an examination, we have that. This is an official thing. We have. For a master degree, there are like 5 students, and there are like 50 people in the room. All nicely dressed up and flowers under the chairs to hand over after they got their certificate. So they're clients. And if I'm at the examination, I welcome the parents and the friends and the family. And sometimes there's a partner and a little kid crying, right? It's all clients of our services. So, what are internal customers in the university? Teachers, sure.
Cleaners,
Secretary, support personnel in general, right? We have secretaries, we have computer people, we have a help desk, we have laboratory people, so who do in the medical faculty, they work with all the chemistry and so on. So there's lots of internal and external support. Yeah. Okay, so whoever is your client, so 2 weeks from now, hopefully we know for each of you what will be your client. You have to find out what are the different types of customers or stakeholders, internally and externally. And hopefully, if we are lucky, we find services where there are many, right? Because it should not be too simple. And, but anyhow, think of a university. And think of what I told you about the Dutch examination, where really the parents and the family is part of our customers. And we shouldn't neglect to have a nice room and chairs for the family. Because otherwise they tell the other sons and daughters to go to another university. Because we are not nice to them. They are very much aware of this. Yeah. We have 2 universities in Amsterdam. So we have to be careful.